Welcome to another episode of Unleashing the Future of Work, a Guide Live podcast. Hope you're doing well this lovely Tuesday morning somewhere in Oakland, right? In Oakland, it's Tuesday morning. Somewhere else, it's Tuesday afternoon, especially if you're in Central Standard Time or on the East Coast. Much love to everyone that's tuning in today. Today, we are going to dive right into it. You know, I'm honored to have the amazing Rebekah Bastian, who is the CEO and co-founder of Owntrail, on the show, as well as the author of Blaze Your Own Trail, which is one of the books that actually inspired her current company, Owntrail. Rebekah is an entrepreneur, writer, artist, tech executive, mentor, wife, mother, and aerial acrobat. We're going to dive deep a little bit more on, that story on how she became an aerial acrobat, as well as she has 15 years working with Zillow, which actually include her working role as vice president of product and vice president of community and culture. And now she's actually leading her own company as the CEO of Owntrail. And even more surprising, they're actually currently doing a crowdfunding campaign. And we'll share and talk a little bit more about that as well. But with that said, if you already know about Rebekah, show us some love in the comments below. And more importantly, check out Owntrail right now. If you are a woman in tech or any industry, check out Woman in Trail. You'll be incredibly impressed about what she's building. And she's going to talk about it right now. Rebekah, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. We super appreciate you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. So you're in the middle of a crowdfunding campaign. First of all, congrats.
Thank you. It's my first one. It's been really interesting and exciting. My co-founder, Katie, actually had the idea for doing this. And I was like, I don't want to ask people for money. I just finished raising around. But it turns out it's not really about that. It's about kind of harnessing the people that are really enthusiastic about what we're building and giving them a chance to really be on board with the early part of our story. So it's been fun.
Yeah, and you all have been building quite the movement, but I want you to backtrack a little bit with us and share a little bit about, because it was the book that started Owntrail. So what inspired the book, and then how that cascaded into Owntrail itself?
Yeah, so I wrote this book, Blaze Your Own Trail, which is a choose your own journey format exploration of women's life paths. So it's basically, I don't know if you read those choose your own adventure books as a kid, but it's basically you as the reader are going through the plot line and you make a decision at the end of each chapter, and that tells you where to go next. So it's this kind of fictional plot line, but it weaves a lot of data in to really embrace the experiences that we share as women and show that we're not alone in those experiences and really create a sense of solidarity and embracing the idea that there is no one right path. And so the idea behind that really came from probably hundreds of conversations that I've had over the years as I've been in different leadership and mentorship roles, where there's a lot of women in particular that really worry about our paths through life and worry about where we're going and how we're going to get there and hoping we don't get it wrong. And I think this idea of getting it wrong really comes from the fact that we look around on media and social media and we see all these kind of picture perfect end results that make it look like if we're going through bumps in the road or not having like one accomplishment after the next, that we're doing something wrong. And that's just not the case, right? So with the book, it's really embracing the idea that there is no one right path. And I wrote that as a goal in and of itself, kind of on the side while I was in my roles at Zillow, and didn't expect to start a company out of it. It was kind of the accidental entrepreneurship,
Right? That's usually how entrepreneurship happens. And you just fall into it. And because you're committed, you just keep going with the bruises and all, right? Was the book inspired by your kind of life story? Because you had a very dynamic career path within Zillow, as well as a community and cultural leader.
Oh yeah, and all the like twists and turns in my journey that are not shown on LinkedIn or wherever, Yes, like some of the plot lines in the book and some of the experiences are personal. Some of them come from close friends that have shared their lives with me, or even just, women I've met that have shared their stories. There's some research. So the fun thing is kind of like you can read through the book and not know whose story comes from where, because there's so many different forks. There's 19 different endings and a lot of different paths to take.
What was one of your favorite stories from the book? Would love to hear.
I think that there's a lot of trade-offs between, our personal and professional lives are so integrated. And I think the character in the book often is thinking through, the following passions, or what she thinks she's supposed to be doing, or, making decisions based on romance or personal milestones in her life versus kind of career decisions. And, I had fun with, first of all, like the story kind of came to me as I was writing it, which was really interesting. So like, oh, well, this is an interesting turn that I didn't expect. That just came out of me. And so I enjoy the unpredictability of the outcomes a lot, where we can make one decision and be like, I'm making this decision because I'm expecting this outcome. And then that's not even what happens anyway, which is very akin to real life.
Oh, wow. No, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. So after the book, it was a matter of them building the company. So tell us a little bit more about that startup journey, right? You go from building this amazing book that created this huge, inspiring movement, because, I've been following it for quite some time. I've been a part of the movement for quite some time. But how did you kind of transition to saying, okay, now I want to build a company where it really coalesces, what I've been feeling, Blaze Your Own Trail is all about, and Owntrail is all about?
Yeah, I mean, it started with me, I signed with this great publisher, Barrett Kohler, and I started just thinking about what a book launch platform might look like. I have a product background and was kind of playing around with some fun stuff there, and brought some friends together to work on that with me. And it really, pretty quickly, we started connecting some dots on some really meaningful problems to solve beyond, the way the book addresses them in some sense. But, there's 19 endings in the book. And in reality, there's an infinite number of paths that women can take through their lives. And really recognizing that, on one side of the equation, that women really, crave authentic sharing and need to see people who look like them in the places they aspire to, and to see those journeys. And on the flip side is the fact that we want to be able to give back to those coming up behind us, but we can't say yes to every coffee chat that comes our way. It doesn't scale. And so what we pretty quickly realized is that these needs have traditionally been shorthanded by women saying, I need a mentor, or I want to be a mentor. And looking at the data, it's actually 75% of women aren't giving or receiving the mentorship that they want to be. So it became clear to us pretty quickly that traditional mentorship is leaving women behind. And we had some big ideas for changing that. And what we're doing with Owntrail is facilitating what we call these micro acts of mentorship, which is women sharing the trails that they've blazed through life as a series of interconnected milestones. And so there's this really kind of structured data approach to it. We're essentially creating this huge neural network of life paths, but it's also very driven by community and empowered by the stories of women and of all the different identities that women hold in their lives. And so it's actually
a range of LGBTQ, as well as older women as well, which is one of the things that's really amazing about it.
Yeah, we're really, we're being really intentionally intersectional with what we're building, because the scenario that's so key here is being able to see the trails of women who share my same identities and share my same experiences, and be, and what those identities or experiences are, like what's most relevant to me at this moment can change over time, right? Like there's, depending on what I'm navigating or what I'm aspiring to, there might be different, essentially filters there, but having real diversity in the paths, in the trails that we're collecting is so key to enabling that scenario.
That's huge. That's powerful. That's powerful. And it's very future of work-esque too, right? Because you're building community at a ground level, and these same people now are working remotely, and they're trying to develop not only their personal lives, but also their professional lives.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think, especially with, essentially kind of the movement that's been taking off more in recent years around kind of embracing the full person and recognizing that we can't just leave part of who we are at the door. It's still there. And if, depending on the workplace, we might have to assimilate more or, work harder to fit in to leave parts of that at the door, but that doesn't happen naturally. So I think more of embracing the full range of who we are and, across our personal and professional lives is the future of work, is the future of mentorship, and is what we're really trying to run with here.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Thank you so much, Rebekah. We'd love to have you share a little bit more about the crowdfunding campaign you all have been doing and where you guys are at. I saw it about a few hours ago, and you guys are at 14,000, almost achieving the goal. So what's next after the crowdfunding campaign? How can we support you?
Yeah, I mean, so we're really excited about this because one thing that's been really amazing since the beginning of launching this is the community support that we've been seeing. We've had women reaching out to us, letting us know that, that we're onto something here, that the act of sharing their trails is both, a powerful way of giving back, but also a really powerful way of embracing their narrative. And that it's really inspiring to see these authentic trails being shared. I mean, if you go to owntrail.com, the level of authenticity and vulnerability being shared is actually pretty remarkable. I read every single trail and I love it. And so we've had members of our community and people, reaching out, and a lot of men also who are like, I want to share this with the inspiring women in my life. And, a lot of people asking, how can we be part of this? And it is a movement, and it is a really community driven movement. Our small but mighty team is working on building out the platform here and creating the space, but it really is driven by community. And so what we realized is that crowdfunding can be a really powerful way of building awareness of Owntrail and creating a way for the people that are really believers in our mission to be part of this early journey. And we're testing out some rewards that will eventually, some of them will actually, we have visions of them moving into kind of what our business model becomes. So we're really trying to test out kind of demand and different iterations of that as well. So we're still in beta right now. We launched in February. Yeah. And so this crowdfunding campaign is really going to give us the fuel that we need to go from what has been our beta release to our full launch, and really going from, the initial structure and framework of Owntrail to creating this really interactive, engaged, and powerful community-driven platform. And so we launched the crowdfunding a week ago and are already at 71%, which is incredible. And we feel just really lifted up by the community. It's owntrail.com/fund if anyone wants to check it out. Yeah.
No, and it's so powerful too, because it speaks to the power of crowdsourcing. And when you have a true community behind your brand, as you leave, what's one powerful takeaway you have for our guide community, and how can they join the Owntrail movement?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in terms of joining the movement, everyone can be involved in this. It's really about, I think a lot of the power comes from reaching out to women or anyone that identifies as a woman in your life that inspires you, or even not in your life, someone that you admire from afar, and saying, I'm really curious about the trail you've blazed. I would love to see you share it on owntrail.com. And that's something that we see people doing all over the place. And it's really amazing. That's the way everyone can be involved. People who identify as women can share their trails, and it's so inspiring. And it's, I think it actually is a really interesting exploration of our own narratives and how we own our stories. We're talking about how storytelling is the new mentorship, and we really are trying to embrace that. And, to the extent that people are able to contribute to our crowdfunding campaign, we have some really cool limited edition rewards as part of it, and, sharing out that campaign as well. And then, in terms of a takeaway for the guide community, because Tim, I love what you're doing. We've talked about this before, but I think that our visions and our ethos are just so in line. And I think that, there is no one right path, but we can learn so much from each other. We can learn so much from each other's stories. And I think that, there's power in storytelling, and there's power in sharing. And so I encourage, everyone in the guide community, everyone in the Owntrail community, I think let's find ways to make those communities overlap more, because I think there's some cool stuff there. But, just thinking about, everybody has a story to tell. It's not that you have to get to some point in your career or your life before you have a story that's going to inspire and help others. There's power in solidarity, there's power in our experiences. And I think being authentic about those is just so incredibly valuable. So I'm really excited about what you're facilitating in that space as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Rebekah. Rebekah, it was truly an honor having you on the show. We need to have you on for a future episode with your abundant and positive energy. What do you think?
Yes, anytime you ask me to chat with you, whether it be live or in private, I will say yes, because I always love our conversations.
Me too, Rebekah. Thank you so much. Keep knocking it out the park. It was truly an honor having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Tim. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too. Bye, Rebekah. That was another episode of Unleashing the Future Work featuring the amazing Rebekah Bastian. Please make sure to check out Owntrail, especially if you have a woman in your life, or you are a woman who is looking to be a part of a community of women who truly care about you, your movement, your story, and you guys can blaze your own trails together. You know, I think that's incredibly important. It's incredibly powerful. And then more importantly, if you are currently tuning in to another episode of Guide Live, want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on. We are currently still in beta. So if you want to join our beta, definitely get access to our beta at guideapp.co. Tryguide.co. We recently just bought the domain, which is awesome. Definitely join our waitlist for beta access. We continue to grow and expand day by day, always onboarding, always in beta. So we would love to have you as a part of our beta. And then don't be afraid to tell a friend that Guide is in beta. You need to check Guide out. With that said, this was a bite-sized short episode of Guide Live B2B Jam Session featuring my homegirl and the phenomenal Rebekah Bastian. Please check her out and the movement that she's building with Owntrail. And please share this episode if you feel as if there's someone in your network who'd love this episode. With that said, thank y'all so much for tuning in. As always, have a happy Tuesday. Oakland, if you're in the building, much love to Oakland. If you're not from Oakland and you're somewhere else, much love to you as well. But overall, please be well, take care of yourself. And as always, peace, love, and abundance. Talk soon.